The progress has been pretty incremental, Tom, but there has, as you say, been a lot of talk of a counter-offensive by the Ukrainians, but we haven't really seen very much of it, apart from a protracted policy now since the end of July to destroy infrastructure around the town of Kherson, which is the only main town to the west of the river Dnipro that the Russians have taken since the start of the war. The idea being to push them out of Kherson at least by the end of this year. And the idea is that by destroying the bridges around, the Antonivka Bridge, the Kakhovka Bridge, and a couple of others, that it becomes impossible for the Russians to supply them with ammunition, with tanks, artillery, and so on, and eventually they'll be forced out of the city. The problem with it is that the Ukrainians need a considerable advantage in men if they're going to push the Russians out of Kherson, and at this stage, it doesn't look as though they've got it. And in the meantime, the Russians are continuing to press in the Donbass area and making it very difficult for the Ukrainians to move men down to Kherson if that is indeed their objective, to take the city before the end of the year. Essentially, they've got a window at the moment. If they push their advantage now, before the onset of winter, they have a chance of taking the city, but only a chance. If they leave it any later, then it becomes impossible. That is the dilemma that's facing the Ukrainians at the moment. The fear is on their side, if they press too hard too soon, they could suffer the consequences. They could suffer a heavy military defeat, and the effect on the morale of the Ukrainian people would be immense.
And secondly, Rob, we're also hearing that this precision strike carried out by Ukraine has destroyed a base used by Russian paramilitaries from the Wagner group, as well as a nearby bridge.
Yeah, the bridge you're referring to is a bit further away at Melitopol, which is some way back from the Dnipro River, but important because it's of its strategic position on the road from Kherson that I've been just talking about to Crimea, which supplies Kherson. If they cut that bridge, it makes it much more difficult for the Russians to supply their forces in Kherson. As for the Wagner group, they have a headquarters in Popasna, and which is in Luhansk region to the north of the Donbass area. It looks like the Ukrainians have targeted it, hit it with a HIMARS, apparently, one of these American multiple rocket launchers that was supplied back in July. If so, it's a morale booster for the Ukrainians. It looks like they discovered the location of the headquarters through a Russian journalist who visited the Wagner group in Popasna, took photographs, and in one of those photographs revealed the street place of the headquarters, in which case the Ukrainians are saying thank you very much to a pro-Russian journalist. At this, it's not really much more than a morale booster. It will count as a success for the Ukrainians that they've taken out one of the headquarters of Wagner. It's a blow to the Russians, but in terms of the overall situation in Donbass and around Kherson, it's not going to change very much.